want to hear a bit more about this light health and the blue blockers, and because, the blue blocking glasses, are they a bit of a placebo effect? Are they, just something that is sold because it's another thing to sell, or do they actually work? Talk me through your experience behind that.
Yeah. Well, the first thing to say is that there are absolutely companies out there that are giving you a run for your money. If you've been sold, because we're doing visuals as well on this podcast, let me just grab mine.
Please. Yes.
If you've been sold a pair of blue blockers that have clear lenses, then they're not blocking out blue light, because what we're trying to block out is the visible blue-green wavelengths of the spectrum. So if you can still see the colour blue or the colour green or variations thereof through your glasses, then it's not blocking those lights. So that's the first thing to say. And you can very easily buy glasses that are quite inexpensive that claim to be blocking blue light, and they're just not. If you want to properly block, the reason we want to block blue light in the evenings is because we are supposed to live in alignment with the natural light cycles. So once the sun has gone down, there is no light until we invented the light bulb and we isolated that fraction of the spectrum. Well, to begin with, we had incandescent bulbs, which actually were a lot better because they included much more of the full spectrum. The issue is with LEDs that we use these days, because they're much better in terms of energy consumption and, therefore supposedly better for the environment. But they are just the blue-green wavelengths. They've been completely isolated. And there's nowhere in nature where you get just that isolation of the spectrum. You always get a full spectrum. You may have like more red tones at sunrise and sunset. You'll have more blue-green tones at midday when the sun's at its highest. But it's always a full spectrum. And it's bad for us to always be under conditions where we have isolated those fractions. So when the sun goes down, we are supposed to go to sleep, and that the sun going down is the signal that your body needs to start releasing melatonin, which is the hormone that promotes good sleep. But melatonin is also dependent on whether you're getting morning daylight exposure. So it's really good to start blocking blue light at nighttime, but it's not as good as also at the same time prioritizing daylight when you wake up in the morning, because what that does is dumps out melatonin and primes the release of it for later in the day. So the more morning daylight you can get, the better actually you might sleep at nighttime. So many things revolve around this kind of circadian clock that is regulated by light. So your hormonal function, whether your body is primed to digest food or to detox, immune health. It's really very fundamental. And, there are quite a good amount of studies now looking at the effects of kind of toxic blue light. And it's not good. It really does not speak to our physiology. So if you want to have better sleep, you can, once the sun's gone down, you can put blue blockers on, which look like this. So like proper red lenses. These are so dirty, sorry, and scratched because my toddler keeps stepping on them. I put them on the other day and they were basically wonky. And if you pop those on, a couple of hours before bed, ideally, you will get that lovely release of melatonin when you're supposed to and have better, more restful sleep. So many of us just look at our phones on the sofa in the evening, or we're watching something on TV. These are such a, granted they're more expensive than the cheap knockoffs, but such an easy hack. It's not a difficult thing to do in the way that changing your diet or starting a new fitness routine or something like that is challenging sometimes. This is really simple. It's just putting on a pair of glasses and it will very positively impact your health.
And if we go into this circadian rhythm chat a little bit more, if in the depths of winter, as we are approaching now, the nights draw in, it's dark earlier, it gets dark later in the morning as well. And our bodies do react in that way. We feel like we want to get a bit cozier, we want to sleep a bit more, we might put on a bit of weight, we might feel a bit more tired. There's lots of different ways, and people's bodies will react in different ways. But then in summer, obviously, there's less darkness. Do you think biologically, evolutionary biology in this sense, should we actually have slept more through the winter and less through the summer, because that's quite opposite to the recommended 8 hours of sleep a night all through the year. It's not really set up for our lifestyle at the moment, is it? The modern lifestyle, you can't really go to sleep when it gets dark because, depending where you live, that could be 4 p.m., 5 p.m.,
Yeah.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
What's your views on that?
I think, yeah, it's a really good point. And I think certainly that is the case, that typically we probably eat later in the evenings in the summer. We might be socializing, seeing friends, and generally speaking, maybe getting a bit less sleep, but actually feeling fine, because light and the fact that we can synthesize vitamin D and just be outside more is so good for our health. I think you're right. It's hard in winter when the mornings are late and then it's like dark by 4 p.m. The one positive of that is that you have the opportunity at that time of year to watch a sunset and a sunrise if you want to, whereas in the summer, you've got to be getting up at like 5 in the morning if you want to see the sunrise. The reason that's great is because those wavelengths that we get around sunset and sunrise, those near and infrared, the red spectrum, is incredibly healing for our cells. It's sort of a fueling up your mitochondria inside your cells. Really, really good. And so that is a sort of silver lining, so to speak, for those very dark winter evenings, is that you can go and watch the sunset at 4 p.m. What I tend to do is, I do find myself probably going to bed earlier. Actually, that's a lie. I always go to bed early, no matter what the season. But what we do at home is we've little by little changed all of our light bulbs in our house to be circadian friendly. So there's some great companies out there selling full spectrum light bulbs, which go from more of a kind of blue, so like a full spectrum that you can have on in the daytime. And then as the sun goes down, you can switch over to like an amber and then a red light. So yes, I'm not going to bed at 4 p.m. in the winter, but as of when the sun goes down, all of the lighting within my house is not telling my body that it's midday anymore. And that's the problem, is that conventional lighting that we do have in our homes and, via our computer screens and things like that, it's communicating that it's midday all the time. And that's problematic from that circadian rhythm point of view. And then other things you can do are, I'll have to share this with you after the recording because I can't remember how I did it now, but there is a way on the iPhone where you can queue up your like side button so that when you click it 3 times, the screen goes completely red.
Oh,
So
wow.
once the sun's gone down, my phone is like that. And so it's kind of protect, so I don't, if I've forgotten to put my glasses on or something. So yeah, there's loads we can do now to support this, like to support a better light environment.